The art of lightsaber craftsmanship is a galaxy-wide practice that is not strictly limited to the Jedi, nor is it a recent occurrence, as the tradition of a lightsaber creation passes back for centuries in the Star Wars universe. Over the eons, a myriad of unique saber hilts, blade colorations, and styles have arisen, from the standard single-bladed weapon to the dual-bladed saber staffs to even lightsaber axes and light whips. While many of these unique and powerful weapons have made their way into the canonical material, many of them remain confined to Legends material or expanded lore. One of the most interesting lightsabers throughout Star Wars history is not necessarily unique in color, nor is it particularly unique in its hilt style, but the story behind it is what makes it so fascinating. So stick with us, weary travelers of the galaxy, and let's explore the story of the lightsaber wielded by the Sith icon, Darth Bane, as well as delve into some of the most formative moments of the Dark Lord's life and his trusty saber. The lightsaber hilt in question today may not be particularly unique in today's standards, but it does sport a conspicuous curve that may very well have been a precursor to the type of saber style wielded and used by the fallen Jedi Count Dooku. Dooku used this kind of curve in order to create unorthodox striking angles that often disoriented or confused his opponents, allowing him to find opening strikes and spar with grace and finesse. Darth Bane's affinity for lightsaber combat is no secret, as he was an incredibly skilled duelist who was able to match pace with some of the greatest combatants of his generation. Still though, what is the uniqueness of this saber, and what is its greater role in the Star Wars galaxy? Where did it come from, and why is its story so unique to that of other lightsabers? The short answer is that this is a legacy saber, passed down between generations, and was ultimately inherited by Darth Bane while not being directly created by the Sith Lord and creator of the Rule of Two. The saber was first created by a figure known as Nadaz, a male Twi'lek Sith Lord who reigned roughly 1,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, and first pioneered the curved hilt lightsaber. It is believed that he may have been actually the first practitioner and wielder of the curved hilt, something that would go on to become a staple of Form 2 lightsaber wielders Makashi, most notably in Dooku. As an avid practitioner of the dark side, Nadaz was an incredibly powerful Sith Lord who took on his own slave apprentice from the planet of Ryloth, and would later pass his combat prowess down to his pupil, Kasim, who himself would go on to become one of the greatest duelists in the history of the Star Wars galaxy. Nadaz taught his apprentice all 7 forms of lightsaber combat, as well as combat forms with saber staffs, and upon growing powerful enough, Kasim challenged his master to a duel to the death. Upon slaying his master, Kasim took his curved saber as a trophy and used it as his own faithful weapon for the duration of his reign as a Sith Lord. Kasim, however, the Blade Master, much like his master in turn, ruled in a time before the establishment of the Rule of Two and during the twilight of the New Sith Wars. Therefore, it was common practice for multiple Sith apprentices to be taken on at a single time. This meant that it was common practice for Sith academies not too dissimilar to the Jedi Order that we are familiar with to rise up in droves, taking on entire classes of Sith students at once. One such academy was known as the Brotherhood of Darkness, and was formed by the Sith Master known as Lord Khan. And shortly after the establishment of the Brotherhood, Kasim was taken on board as an instructor to many Sith pupils, in an effort to create as many Sith Lords as possible in order to combat the growing power of the Jedi Order in both number and affinity in the Force. As the head Blade Master and saber combat instructor, he passed his dark side knowledge and lightsaber techniques onto numerous pupils of his throughout his career as a Sith teacher. Kasim's philosophy included teaching each student basic practices from each of the 7 forms of lightsaber combat, and then narrowing down their preferred styles and assigning specialties for each respective trainee. He would continue to grow this legion of Sith warriors until one particular human student caught his eye. Upon losing a duel to the Zabrak student Sirak, the figure who would later become known as the infamous Darth Bane, Lord of the Sith, came to Kasim and asked for private instruction. Bane did so in order to enact his revenge on his rival. Sensing his potential for incredible dark side strength, Kasim was intrigued by the human, though the Academy refused to allow preferential treatment on the grounds that Bane had recently seemed to begin pulling away from the allure of the dark side, or at least the uniformity established by the Brotherhood of Darkness. Detecting the true depth of his potential, however, Kasim elected to defy the Academy's orders and train Bane in secret. Upon further conflicts with the Academy's leadership, Bane eventually left the Order and ventured along with his own path. leaving Kasim to continue his instruction with the iconic curved saber at his side. Around the same time, Lord Khan enacted his final plan to lead a siege of the Jedi Order and topple the rival academy once and for all. Lord Khan, with Kasim and a small army of students at his side, led the final assault to the Jedi Order on the planet of Ruusan, where Kasim fell subject to his dark urges and succumbed to his bloodlust, feeding into his dark side urges and pulling away from the unity that Khan believed would prove to be their greatest strength against the Jedi. This was further worsened by the Jedi's use of guerrilla tactics that frustrated and enraged the dark side warriors, sinking Kasim further into insanity. Khan then grew cautious of Kasim's unbridled rage and sent him to track down Bane and reinduct him into the Jedi Order amidst the climactic showdown between the army of Jedi and the Legion of Sith. Upon tracking Bane to the planet of Lahan, Kasim confronted his former apprentice in a final attempt to draw him back into the Brotherhood of Darkness, or die at the Blade Master's hand, to which Darth Bane blatantly refused. As their conflict escalated, it culminated in the duel that would ultimately cost Kasim his life, and would allow Bane to take the iconic saber as his own. This curved lightsaber would later become known as Bane's Heart, but this was unlike any other lightsaber that Darth Bane had seen before it. What made the weapon so powerful is it was virtually weightless. This, combined with Darth Bane's preference for Form 5 lightsaber combat and heavy physical strikes, made him nearly indomitable against one-on-one duelists, potentially making him one of the greatest and most fearsome duelists the Sith Order had ever seen. Along with this, the Bane's Heart Crystal now completely switched allegiance to Darth Bane, who it was named after, meaning that anyone that was not Darth Bane or aligned with Darth Bane, whenever they attempted to activate the lightsaber, the crystal would crackle and refuse the user. This made it quite possibly the most dangerous lightsaber in the history of the Star Wars universe when it came to blade-to-blade combat, especially in the hands of someone like Darth Bane, who the weapon seemed tailor-made for. Little did Bane know at that moment, but the Sith Academy from which he grew was ultimately slaughtered at the hands of the Jedi Order. This, along with the fact that Darth Bane directly had orchestrated the downfall of both the Jedi and the Sith. Darth Bane was the last of the Sith, just as Bane had planned. This left Darth Bane with a period of introspection, reflecting on the practices of the Sith Order and reaffirming the practices in accordance with his own new beliefs and what he had learned throughout his life. This led him to establish the Rule of Two and reviving the Sith regime from the ashes of the Old Order, taking on his own lone apprentice and setting a precedent that would last for the next 1,000 years until the Jedi Order finally met its supposed end at the hands of Darth Sidious and Darth Vader. The culmination of the Rule of Two. Though this saber is commonly associated with Darth Bane and is widely regarded as his saber, he was not the last figure to wield the Crimson Blade, as upon his death, the blade was passed down to his own apprentice, Darth Zana. Zana, who would later give it on to her own apprentice before she constructed her own. What happened to the Bane Heart lightsaber is unknown following this, although it was likely hidden away with respect to the Dark Lord that established the famed Rule of Two. While the Sith would continue to grow and evolve, individual Sith warriors would continue to construct their own blades and would eventually do away with the practice of passing their sabers down to one another. But the story of Darth Bane's lightsaber perhaps stands as one of the most sacred Sith artifacts to date, carrying the lineage of multiple generations of Sith Lords that bridged the old world with the new. But anyway, my friends, what did you think of this story? Did you know that Darth Bane's lightsaber, much like the Skywalker saber, was a legacy weapon passed down between generations of Sith? And would you like to see the story make a leap into canon in the near future? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching the channel. May the Force be with you, and I hope you have a great day.